You're listening to Catholic Chicago on WNDZ 750 AM. During the next hour, the Archdiocese of Chicago brings you programs about the people, events, and issues that touch our lives. Welcome to Catholic Chicago.
Welcome to Catholic Chicago on WNDZ 750 AM. Father Greg Sakowitz, the rector of Holy Name Cathedral, and co-hosting Mark Teresi, executive director at Holy Name Cathedral. Our phone number 312-255-8408, 312-255-8408. Morning, by the way, we are live streaming the program this morning. I think it's our third or fourth time live streaming. So something brand new. We have cameras here. You might be listening on the radio on WNDZ or live streaming today for the program. How you doing, Mark?
Good, and you are proudly wearing your Chicago Bears face mask. No,
5-1, a lucky 5-1. But you take the wins. The defense is tough, and they really pursue that ball defensively.
They won that game.
But they find just enough ways to win, and the offense has to get going, especially the running game. But tough challenge Monday night in Los Angeles, take on the Rams, Monday Night Football, so big game, national TV. So they're actually talking some nice weather today, rain now, but up to maybe 72, 73 degrees, but a cold front comes in tomorrow. It's hard to believe. A week from Sunday, All Saints Day, November
1st.
It's like the time is flying.
When do you change your clocks? Is that the day?
Halloween, which is the 31st Saturday, we go to bed. I think that's the weekend to change the clock, so it would be spring ahead, fall back. So push the hour, back an hour.
In this pandemic, we would have been celebrating our Cathedral Gala on October 30th.
That Friday.
But we're going to be having an ungala, inviting people to support the cathedral. So it's just an odd time.
And also, for all our listeners, please, COVID-19 is beginning to spike again. Some counties in Illinois are really cutting back or shaving back in terms of restrictions. You think it's just going to matter not if, but when in Chicago.
Right.
And
please be safe.
Please be safe. So we have a great program lined up, 312-255-8408. With the Chicago Marathon canceled this year because of COVID-19, Father Michael Bradley ran a marathon of his own on Sunday, October 11th, the day of the marathon, which would have been the streets of Edgewater, where he lives at St. Gertrude Parish. Parishioners lined up at the church and on the front doorsteps to cheer him on as he ran by. Folks, believe this, unbelievable. This was the 49th marathon for the 67-year-old priest. He completed the run in 5 hours and 5 minutes. So welcome to the program, Father Michael Bradley, a tremendous, great priest of the Archdiocese of Chicago. Mike was ordained in May of 78. I was ordained in May of 79. A great friend. Father Mike Bradley, welcome to the program. How are you, Mike?
Yes, welcome, Mike.
Fine. Thank you, Father Greg. Thank you, Mark.
Oh, you're welcome.
Now, Mike, if I'm 67 and so are you, do you turn 68 this month or next month?
Next month.
That's
Father
what
Greg.
I figured, yeah.
Thank you for reminding me.
Yeah. Yeah, in fact, I was thinking about this walking over with Mark. Think about this. The day that, take it back, 1973, when you were entering your senior year at Niles College, Mike, I was entering my junior year.
Yes.
Mark Teresi was entering his freshman year. So the three of us had 1 year together in the college seminary, freshman, junior, senior, and that's such a long time ago.
And Mike's brother Kevin was my roommate in college for a while.
At Niles College?
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot. Kevin was roommates with you in the college seminary, and I still remember the first time I met you, Mike. I was, of course, in 71, a freshman. You were then a sophomore. We were walking from the main building to the cafeteria, and you introduced yourself to me. I was, freshman, 18 years old. You were a sophomore. And Mark, I can say this. Mike was as polite then and kind as he is today.
Yeah, I believe it.
He hasn't changed in 50 years.
He didn't send you over to the gym for your lunch?
I said, Mike, where's the cafeteria? You sent me to Chardin. So
It's a long time ago.
Yes. It's a long time. And Mike, I can't believe this was your 49th marathon. If you just back up, what got you into running, or who got you into running?
Well, I was never much of a runner, but in the 1990s, actually it was 1995, I was a student at the American College in Louvain, Belgium. And it was a Thursday afternoon, I remember it. Another priest who was living there and a couple of seminarians came up and asked me and said, hey, why don't we go down to Paris this weekend and run the Paris Marathon? And I had no training. I don't think they had much either, but they were pretty good athletes. And I just said, well, let's give it a try. I had not the proper running gear or shoes or anything. I ran in a pair of old Keds shoes and finished the marathon and kind of got the bug, and I've been doing on average 2 every year since then.
So back up here, Mike. You're telling me in 1995, which would have been 25 years ago, so you're in your low mid 40s, is with no training, no proper gear, you go down and you completed a marathon.
Well, it helps to go slow.
What was your time, by the way? Do you remember the time for the first one?
I think it was 4 hours and 35 minutes.
Wait, your first marathon with no training in 4.5 hours?
Yes, I don't know how. I have no idea.
That is amazing.
No, but you've pretty much been in shape your whole life. I mean, shape, not a runner shape, but just the idea of you've always been kind of balanced in terms of
I have done. I used to do short runs at the Mundelein Seminary. As you know, the run around the lake is about 3 miles, so it's a nice distance, and used to enjoy that.
Now, are you still run? Is running part of your routine, your health routine now, or?
Yeah, I do try to run about 3 times a week now.
Wow.
And the thing is, so you do the training now, and I remember you, Mike. You never were one for playing football or basketball or softball that much, but you were always, very coordinated, in shape, and just, you were. But back in college, you never ran during college days.
No,
at all.
Now, how did this 49th happen? Was it your idea? Did someone come to you? And also tagging on the wonderful mission that you had in terms of supporting, I always forget, is it Heart to Heart? Or Heart
to Heart is a parish ministry in the Edgewater community serving the senior citizens.
Tell us about Heart to Heart.
Yeah, it's an outreach for senior citizens. We have many senior citizens in our population in Edgewater of different religions and no religion at all. And Heart to Heart provides assistance with grocery shopping, there's well-being, phone calls, transportation to medical appointments. Jane Callahan Moore is the director of the Heart to Heart program, and usually there's 3 fundraisers over the course of the year, and of course none of those have been possible because of the pandemic. So after the Chicago Marathon was canceled, which was not a surprise, they gave it a good try and realized that they couldn't provide for the safety of the spectators and the runners. And so when it was canceled, it was disappointing. And I just one day decided, I think it was in late July, early August, maybe, that why don't I do one in the neighborhood? I was running in the neighborhood quite a bit, and so why not try to do 26.2 miles in the Edgewater neighborhood? So the pastoral associate of St. Gertrude, her name is Kevin Cheers, and I looked at the map, plotted out a 6.5 mile route through the neighborhood, going to the different streets and going east, a little bit west, north and south, but also trying to stay close to the parish and making that the steps of the church to be the location where I could run into a number of parishioners, and it really took off. People had signs made. There was just great support for the effort. I think people really needed something positive because it's been such a discouraging time, and the senior citizens, I'd say in particular, have felt somewhat isolated and cut off even from family members' visits. So providing them with some outreach has been all the more important.
Now, Mike, how much did you raise this year?
Thus far, and we still got some coming in, but it's about $22,500.
Now, where can people contribute? That's still open. It's an open fund for people to contribute. You want to give people an idea of how they can do that?
Yes, we're at www.stgertrudechicago.org.
One more time with that, Mike.
Yeah, that's www.stgertrude.Chicago.org.
And then they would make the check out to Heart or to St. Gertrude?
To St. Gertrude
Or to
Church.
Father Mike Bradley.
No. I have to say to your listening audience how generous and supportive Father Greg and Mark and Mark's family have been to me in support of these runs over the years. In this day and age, you just don't like to, make an appeal to people to contribute to any cause. There are so many needs right now. But I want to thank you, Father Greg and Mark, for your great support over many years.
I think, Mike, it is such a great cause, and we go back almost 50 years, and you've been a tremendous priest. It's my way of saying thank you for all you're doing.
Exactly.
And in fact, we're a little bit early here, but Mark, take us to break. Don't go away, Mike.
Yeah, don't. We'll take a little break. WNDZ, 750 AM on your dial, Catholic Chicago. If you want to talk to Father Mike, ask him a question, 312-255-8408, 312-255-8408. We'll be back with Father Mike Bradley in a few minutes. Please stay tuned.
Throughout our nation and our world, people of all faiths have recently been joining fervently in all kinds of prayer. They have found that coming together in prayer is a source of comfort and strength. In this spirit of unity, the Archdiocese of Chicago has introduced a call to prayer, a telephone line dedicated to prayer. If you would like to join with another person in prayer, call 312-741-3388. This line is staffed from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. daily with parishioners from across the Archdiocese of Chicago. These volunteers are here to listen to you, offer support, and pray with you. A call to prayer includes a 24-hour voicemail and email options as well. Experience this wonderful opportunity to join with people just like you who trust in the power of prayer. That phone number again is 312-741-3388. Let's pray together today.
You're invited to Keep Hope Alive 2020, the online benefit and celebration of the Archdiocese of Chicago's Immigration Ministry and their nationwide program, Pastoral Migratoria. Join us virtually on the evening of Thursday, October 29th, for a night filled with music, camaraderie, and inspiring speakers. Cardinal Blaise Supich and Sister Norma Pimentel of Catholic Charities of the Rio Grande Valley, who was recently recognized as one of Time Magazine's 100 most influential people, will be joining us to help keep hope alive. Now, more than ever, the immigrant community, both here in the Archdiocese of Chicago and across the United States, needs the leadership formation and accompaniment that Pastoral Migratoria provides. Registration is free, and sponsorship and advertising opportunities are available. Visit www.keephopealive2020.org for more information and to register. Again, that's www.keephopealive2020.org.
When you think of the word neighbor, warm and friendly thoughts come to mind. Think of smiles across the yard, positive wishes, and looking out for one another on an ongoing basis. Catholic Charities' Neighbors in Need Fund inspires all of these and much more. We've seen an unprecedented number of requests for assistance this year from people who have never needed help before. When you make your gift to the Neighbors in Need Fund, you are igniting hope in the lives of your most vulnerable neighbors, especially individuals and families who continue to struggle to put food on the table and keep a roof over their heads. Your gift will give them the resources they need to overcome the unexpected, very serious circumstances in which they find themselves now. Give online at CatholicCharities.net or call 312-948-6087. That's 312-948-6087. Catholic Charities Neighbors in Need Fund. Thank you for helping build a world of kindness, one neighbor to another.
We're back, WNDZ, 750 AM on your dial, Catholic Chicago, 312-255-8408. We're speaking with Father Mike Bradley.
And we are live streaming this morning, Mark.
And mask on, safe distance. You look wonderful from far away.
Chicago Bears.
Go,
You look
go.
even better further away.
I know, thank you. Mike, as you prepared for this marathon, one of the things that Mary and I noticed was anywhere we turned on the dial, there was a little feature story of Father Mike Bradley. All I felt was pride. I thought, not only for you, but for the Presbyterate in Chicago. Here's a good news story. How did that make you feel? Because you're kind of a quiet, subdued guy, but all of a sudden they're interviewing you all over the place.
Yes, I felt very blessed to have that the information about the marathon broadcast. It was extraordinary, and I think it really was a point of pride for the parishioners. And I must say, it gave me great courage, a lot of encouragement.
Is it normally every year for the marathon for you, Mike, you pick up this type of publicity ahead of time? They want to all...
No. I think that the networks, because of the fact that there was no Chicago Marathon this year, they were looking for stories. There were a number of articles and broadcasts about individuals who were running their own marathons, running the regular course on their own. So I think there was a need for some human interest.
Was it Sister Alicia who ran the marathon on a treadmill from...
She did, and she said she's going to be in the Guinness Book of World Records at Our Lady of the Angels.
Sister Stephanie.
Sister Stephanie Baliga. She is extraordinary. As a matter of fact, I was co-instructor for a class she took up at Mundelein Seminary, University of St. Mary of the Lake, and she's a true inspiration. She could run a couple of marathons by the time I finished one. Huh. So the OLA community are very supportive.
Is she in the record book because the longest distance ever on a marathon, on a treadmill?
Indoor marathon on a treadmill for a woman, yes.
Now
that's amazing.
Now, it's interesting because as you did your run, I would imagine there were some highlights for you. Any particular highlights that stood out for you as you ran?
Yes, Mark. For the very beginning, well, I started at 6 a.m., so it was still dark out, and I was planning to step off from the steps of church. And when I got there, got ready to get going, there was a crowd of parishioners there.
Oh, wonderful.
At 6 o'clock in the morning.
To bless me, to pray for me, and wish me well. It was very inspiring. And as I ran off into the darkness, I just felt they were with me all the way. And there were parishioners, even at that early hour, and one of the first streets I turned onto, there were parents with their kids in their pajamas out on the front steps of their houses, and with signs, and cowbells and cheering me on. It was really amazing. And I don't know how they got the kids out. I hope the neighbors didn't mind the noise, but it was just that kind of support all the way through.
That'd be very inspiring to you as a runner.
3 stations where I could get Gatorade and some snacks and things, and some of the people staffing those tables were senior citizens who are helped by Heart to Heart. That was a really great blessing. It was such a beautiful day, perfect for running, perfect
that was
for
a great
being
marathon day,
spectator.
that Sunday the 11th.
I think it was fun for people. And one of the things that happened, I was about mile 25 and a half, so I'd gone, I just had less than a mile to go, and I could even see the finish line and saw there were people waiting there. And all of a sudden, I got a terrible cramp in my leg. And I thought, oh, Lord, please, don't fail me now.
Can't stop now.
I need some help. And I was right near the home of parishioners, and they ran up and got me a leg compress, an ice pack, and I wrapped that around my leg. And as a matter of fact, the compress, they gave me shaped like a heart.
Oh, nice.
And the
Heart
ice really helped, and I was able to get to the finish line.
Let me ask you this, Mike, and that is, as a runner for all these marathons, I used to, former Dave and I were the same age, I used to enjoy jogging. Slow jog, maybe a 5K, 3 miles, sometimes 4,
Sure.
never more than that. And a lot of times when I'm running through the forest, whatever, it's a beautiful time to absorb nature, to pray, to be in quiet thought. When you're running a marathon, which is such a long distance and for several hours, what is going through your mind at different times?
Well, a number of runners find music and headphones to be helpful. I prefer just to be alone. I often do run in cemeteries in the area, and not meaning to be disrespectful, but it's a good time to meditate, to reflect, and to just take in fresh air and be alone with the Lord. And it's a great time to pray. Usually in the Chicago Marathon, as I'm running, using a rosary ring I usually pray 3 or sometimes 4 rosaries for all the people that have asked for prayers, all those who are shut-ins, who've requested that I think of them. So it's a great time.
Now, it's interesting that you reminded me of a story. When I was a seminarian, I was at St. Clement's, and John Fahey, do you remember John Fahey? Did you ever?
Yes.
Great priest.
John Fahey was a runner, and he said, Mark, come run with me. So I'm running in Lincoln Park, and there are people on the bus, and I'm sure they're looking, thinking, oh, here's that nice young man taking his grandpa out, and I could barely keep up with him. I think runners have this psyche or mentality that it's a long process, take it a step at a time. It's not it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yes.
Now, have you contacted, or have young people kind of asked you about this in terms of, we're at a different age than they are, but you're still keeping up with them?
Yes. Well, and we have in the parish some great runners, young people, young men and young women, and they are an inspiration. I see them in the neighborhood. They pass me by real quickly when running, but some of them are competing in high school and at university. They are real inspirations for me.
Now, this is putting you on the spot a little bit, but St. Gertrude's is our parish, so we've been, I had the privilege of being at Mass where Mike preaches. You're kind of known, as Father Greg is, for an occasional joke. Is there anything that comes to mind that our listeners could enjoy in terms of something maybe you've used in a homily, or?
Oh gosh, I'd have to think about that. Let me give me a minute.
Do any of your homilies reflect the marathon in terms of any stories come out of the marathon?
Good question.
Well, Yes. One of the things that happens is that I do wear on my jersey, have a shirt that says Father Mike. And as you know, in the Chicago Marathon, there's 1.7 million spectators, and so people are on the streets cheering everyone on, whether they know them or not. So a lot of people see on my shirt, I say they see the name, and so they cheer me on. And many times, other runners, I'm usually behind everybody, but they kind of keep pace with me for a while. They want to talk about why I'm running, and on several occasions, I've been asked to hear a person's confession.
Wow.
So when that happens, I say, okay, let's go over to the side and let's have some time for privacy. And I've heard their confessions, but usually I say, would you mind if you make it short? Because I don't want to lose time in the marathon. But those have been wonderful experiences. People being very surprised. I don't know if they think priests don't have legs or something, but it's usually a very positive experience.
In fact, here's one story I remember once many years ago when I was on the faculty at Niles College. I used to like to go jogging that Newark Road that cut in half St. Adalbert Cemetery, go back and forth 3 or 4 times. I remember once I was, I had a slow pace. I was, not a runner, but a jogger. And I was feeling very tired, and my body was starting to ache a little bit from the run, and my leg was hurting. And up ahead to me, it was like a 12 or 13-year-old boy on crutches with one leg. And I thought to myself, you know what? I have no problems. I have no complaints. This young boy, one leg, and on crutches, and I thought to myself, and I'm complaining because my left leg is cramping up a little bit, and this young boy has missing a limb. And I put in perspective. So sometimes running in those moments can just put life in perspective, and you just breathe in the presence of God. And but I know they love you at St. Gertrude's, Mike. And now, here's a question that's hard to answer. I presume you have no intention of stopping the marathon run in your own life.
Yeah, I'd really love to keep going as long as the Lord lets me. So
probably at your 105th birthday, when you pass away, there'll be a 26-mile funeral entourage that will lead you out. I had a quick question. What about, how do you imagine your 50th?
Mark, I don't know. If it were something like this neighborhood run, I think I'd really enjoy that. Yeah. But I do want to sign up for the Chicago Marathon next year. So one of the things that's very helpful for me is to realize, and Greg, I think you alluded to this, the kinds of marathons that people have just in their daily experiences. I think of all the parents struggling right now to educate their children and hold down 1, 2, or 3 jobs. The people who are shut-ins, those who are no longer able to run or even walk, all of those people are doing a marathon, I think. And so when I get a little tired or sore, that's nothing compared to what people are trying to cope with.
Yeah. I think you're trying to connect the mystery of God with our lives, and you do it so well, Mike. Again, Mike, give one more time. If someone would like to make a contribution to Heart to Heart at St. Gertrude's on behalf of Father Mike Bradley, who ran a marathon, again, give us the site one more time to make a donation, Mike.
Yeah, thank you. That's www.stgertrudechicago.org.
I want to thank in a very special way Father Michael Bradley, ordained in 1978 at Mundelein Seminary, a tremendous priest, the Archdiocese. Mike, is a joy and privilege sharing in the Lord's ministry with you. So thank you for being our guest this first half hour. Our phone number 312-255-8408. WNDZ, Father Greg Sakowitz and Mark Teresi. And our guest this morning was Father Mike Bradley. Stay with us, and again, do not touch that dial.
Catholic Charities After Supper Visions program offers guests of our Tuesday night supper the opportunity to learn the art of photography. These talented guests, who are often experiencing homelessness, are offered disposable digital cameras, and they work with volunteer professional photographers to learn the basics of taking photos. Then the artists go out and capture images on film of anything they find to be beautiful or interesting in the world. Their photos are amazing. Visit AfterSupperVisions.com to learn more about the artists and their artwork. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn too. At After Supper Visions, we are developing film, talent, and hope.
For more than 20 years, Catholic Charities Adult Protective Services has been advocating for seniors who are the victims of abuse, neglect, and/or financial exploitation. We work with local city and state agencies in a cooperative way to ensure that every concern brought to our attention is handled and that our seniors are safe and protected. According to a report published by the Illinois Department on Aging, last year there were more than 21,000 cases of elder abuse reported in Illinois. Of these, only 6% were reported by the seniors themselves. So raising awareness is definitely an important part of the issue. If you are concerned about a senior you know, call 866-800-1409. That's 866-800-1409. In these unprecedented times, we need to look out for each other, including all of the seniors in our lives.
It has been inspiring to see how individuals, families, and communities have found ways to help one another throughout 2020. At Catholic Charities, we usually have 35 to 40 events a year where we gather and enjoy time together in support of important programs and services, while raising critical funds that allow us to respond to the growing number of people who are in need of the most basic necessities in life. Many of our events are now virtual. If you would like to be a sponsor for one of these events, please call 312-948-6864. That's 312-948-6864. Also, visit us at CatholicCharities.net/events and follow us on social media too. We so look forward to when we can resume our events in person and reconnect with our friends and partners throughout Chicagoland. For now, please consider donating to Catholic Charities so our vital work can continue. Thousands of people in Chicago count on Catholic Charities every day. Please help us help them today. Learn more at CatholicCharities.net.
You're listening to Catholic Chicago on WNDZ 750 AM. Every Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m., the Archdiocese of Chicago presents programming about the people, events, and issues that touch our lives. Thanks for letting us be part of your morning. Now again, Catholic Chicago.
Welcome back to Catholic Chicago on WNDZ 750 AM. Father Greg Sakowicz, the rector of the cathedral, and Mark Teresi, the executive director at Holy Name Cathedral. Welcome to the program, and that was a great first half with Father Mike Bradley.
Really, what a joy, and he's such a wonderful witness as a priest for folks.
Yes, for all that he does, and speaking of great priest, and does a wonderful job and a great witness, we have with us Father Lou Cameli, because we have Election Day this year has turned into election season. Millions of Americans taking COVID-19 precautions have already voted by mail or in person. It's not uncommon to find waits of 45 minutes or more at early voting stations. In fact, I voted yesterday with Lori Doyle and Ken Hendrickson, parishioner, and Lori's on the staff at Cathedral. We voted over at Ogden School. No wait. I have to say this. Every member who was a volunteer, as you walked in the door and helped you through the line, they were so kind and gracious at Ogden School. I shout out to that whole group over there. I voted yesterday and was in and out within 20 minutes. And Father Lou Cameli, based at Holy Name Cathedral, recently wrote some reflections on the concept of faithful citizenship and the role it plays in the voting process. He has a new video out about voting and what it means. So Father Lou Cameli, an outstanding, excellent priest, and lives down the hall from me at the cathedral. Father Lou Cameli, welcome to the program this morning.
Yes, welcome.
Thank you, Father Greg, and thank you, Mark.
Yes,
It's great to be with you again.
Thank you.
And I think, Lou, the video, in fact, maybe you can tell our listeners if they would want to watch I think it's about a 12-minute video you did, which is
Right.
terrific. How can they watch that? How do you get to it?
Yeah, I think when they watch it, they should first of all, what they should not expect is the endorsement of a candidate, a party, or a platform, or saying this is the way you need to vote. What I'm trying to do is really it's an extension of what the bishops have done in their document on faithful citizenship, and that is to provide a context for people to form their conscience as they make a decision and vote. So that's really it. It's trying to bring together, the different factors that are in play. And I think actually the first thing that may be very important is that we have an obligation to vote. I don't know if people really realize this, but in the Catechism of the Catholic Church, there are 3 moral obligations that citizens have, and that is to pay taxes, to defend their country, and to vote. So this is actually, unless you have to vote unless you're legitimately impeded. So there's something pretty special about that. I don't know. There might be more I could say, but let me leave it at that. It's just a really important moment for us, not only exercising our citizenship, but also our faith.
And I think, Lou, it's so important to know that when people say, "Oh, I'm not going to vote," my vote doesn't make a difference, but it does. It really
absolutely
does make a difference. Mark, you going to chime in?
And that it's a moral obligation that we have. What do our popes say in terms of a direction for us? It's interesting because your viewing your video should be part of the process, probably for Catholics, like you take that sheet in with the judges and stuff. Well, this should be part of our preparation. What do the Holy Fathers say about where we should be in this?
Well, first of all, of course, he's not going to involve himself in the American elections. Mm-hmm. He's Pope for the Universal Catholic Church and the whole world. So that, in a certain sense, while it may be on his radar as an event and he's praying for our nation, there's no special directions that he's offering. But when he does speak about engagement, civic engagement, and the participation that we're called to, especially in democracies, he's saying that this is done through the lens of faith, our convictions about justice, peace, and, of course, life, and respect and dignity for each individual. So there's a kind of take or a perspective that is really important. Let me say this, too, that one of the problems we face, he just came out with an encyclical letter called Fratelli Tutti.
Mm-hmm. It's rather lengthy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's wonderful, though. It is lengthy, but it's on social friendship and engagement. In other words, the call for us to really be connected to each other and have a vision, a larger vision of our connections. Now, this, I think, it may be an indirect message to us, but it's a powerful one because we find ourselves in this country so polarized, mm-hmm. so unable to talk to each other. And yet, at the foundation, at the basis of a democracy is the capacity of people to engage each other, to talk, to exchange in a way that enriches. We enrich each other in a mutual way. So this is really, apart from the values that we have, and they are significant. As I mentioned, it's about life and dignity of individuals and working for justice and peace. Apart from those values that are so important and rooted in the gospel, there's also the process of being open to each other and being able to talk, to be in dialogue.
Let me ask you this, Lou, and that is, talk for a moment about, I've never seen an election in my lifetime that is so volatile, and there's even anger right now among people, and you mentioned about being divisive and the division. but the need to maybe vote for the candidate and not issues.
Yeah. Well, let me. Yeah.
Or how do you sort this out? And you don't. It's not about just a particular issue, but you have candidates, and I always talk about candidates in terms of the competence, character, collaboration, connection, integrity, their philosophy, their performance. In terms of a candidate, I mean, it's very complicated, but this year in particular, especially, we do take the time to vote. But just talk about candidates, talk about issues, and how do you sort all this out?
Well, let me back up just a bit, because what you said initially is very important. That there's a lot of anger, there's a lot of edginess on the part of people in this whole process, and I think we need to understand that. We're in a context that in some respects is really and truly unprecedented. So there's the pandemic, there's an awakening to some of the social divisions, especially racial injustice in our society. There's economic hardship for a lot of people. I mean, they're just teetering on the brink of poverty. And then on top of all of that, we have a series of natural disasters, like the fires in the west and the hurricanes in the south. So one of the it's not just about the election, but it's the context of the election that I think is important to identify and realize that all of this kind of comes together and sets people on edge. It makes them both anxious and angry, fearful and aggressive, and then in their approach. So that's important, and I think I want to put that out there, and we need to realize that. So we're not necessarily, because of all this, we're not necessarily cool and detached in our approach. That's where the fire comes from, and the interaction.
See, we don't vote in a vacuum. We're part of a larger picture.
Not at all. No. But then, in terms of the voting, not for how did you put it? Not voting for issues, but
vote for candidates, not issues.
Well, yeah, and I'm not quite sure if it's possible to separate that out. But there is a way in which, obviously, we need to apprise and evaluate the character of the candidates we want to choose. But often that is linked to the way in which they deal with issues. So it's a complex mix. But let me also add to that and then this is part of the whole frenzy of the electoral season and campaigning, that it's as if, wow, everything is funneled into this election. Well, there's a lot at stake. There's no question about that. But the election is, and I think we have to keep reminding ourselves of this, is one part, one piece of the whole process of civic engagement and democracy. I mean, once people are elected, we shouldn't just say, okay, you're elected, you take the reins and just do what you're supposed to do or what you want to do or whatever. We gave you the vote. Now, no, not at all. We have to, once you vote, you have to keep your voice. And in fact, it's interesting, in one church documents, this is St. John Paul II, he said, it's really obligatory for citizens in a democracy to keep their elected officials accountable. Keep them accountable.
Good point. I like that.
Yeah. So it's not just, I think we have funneled so much into the election voting moment that we forget there's a much larger piece there.
We're going to take a little break. WNDZ 750 AM on your dial, Catholic Chicago. We're going to continue our conversation with Father Lou Cameli, voting 2020. What is a Catholic to do? When we come back, Lou, what I want to ask you is, I'm at dinner sitting with two people going at it, one candidate, the other candidate, and I withdrew. I want you to coach me on how I might have have reacted a little bit differently
get the
in
dessert.
that situation.
Get the dessert.
Yeah.
Exactly. We'll talk in a few minutes. Please stay tuned.
Okay.
October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. At Catholic Charities, we want to remind you that we are here for anyone who's a victim of domestic violence or anyone who has a concern about someone they think might be a victim. This annual recognition of domestic violence began in 1961. Domestic violence affects millions of people each year, both women and men of every race, religion, culture, and status. It includes physical, psychological, sexual, and emotional abuse, inflicted in both subtle and overt ways. If you or someone you know are victims of domestic violence and you are looking for a place to heal and recover, call Catholic Charities at 773-935-3434. That's 773-935-3434. We are working to bring hope and healing.
Do you have a gently used laptop or desktop computer that is gathering dust in your home? Consider donating to our Catholic Charities Veterans Computer Project. We will clean out your device, give it new software, and repurpose it for a veteran who is looking for employment. Your gift will make an incredible difference in a veteran's ability to find a job. Catholic Charities provides veteran services throughout Lake and suburban Cook counties, giving participants an array of professional and personal support. Our veterans have served our country, and it is our privilege to serve them. To learn more about Catholic Charities Veterans Services and the Veterans Computer Project, call 847-782-4219. That's 847-782-4219.
You're invited to Keep Hope Alive 2020, the online benefit and celebration of the Archdiocese of Chicago's Immigration Ministry and their nationwide program, Pastoral Migratoria. Join us virtually on the evening of Thursday, October 29th, for a night filled with music, camaraderie, and inspiring speakers. Cardinal Blaise Supich and Sister Norma Pimentel of Catholic Charities of the Rio Grande Valley, who was recently recognized as one of Time Magazine's 100 most influential people, will be joining us to help keep hope alive. Now, more than ever, the immigrant community, both here in the Archdiocese of Chicago and across the United States, needs the leadership formation and accompaniment that Pastoral Migratoria provides. Registration is free, and sponsorship and advertising opportunities are available. Visit www.keephopealive2020.org for more information and to register. Again, that's www.keephopealive2020.org.
We're back, Catholic Chicago, WNDZ 750 on your dial, 750 AM on your dial. Back with Father Lou Cameli, voting 20.
And we are live streaming, Mark.
And we are masked and at a safe,
social distance,
very safe distance. We'll keep that distance.
And Lou is very safe. He's in a different location.
I'm very safe. Yes.
Exactly. Voting 2020. What's a Catholic to do? Before the break, I had mentioned a real scenario. We're sitting at dinner and two people, each of them have their own presidential candidate, and there's no budging on where they're, and I found myself totally withdrawing. Give me a little coaching, Lou, on how might I have handled that better than just simply withdrawing.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. I noticed in the newspaper the other day there's some advice for people, like friends who have different political positions, and the advice was, don't talk about politics.
Change the subject.
I mean, and in a certain sense, that's the strategy. Yeah, I mean, by withdrawing, that was your response. But but I think you want something more. I think we all do.
You know, just a little sidebar. I was at a dinner party about 4 years ago, before the last election, and a fist fight broke out.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
I mean, they're not only arguing, these two guys, but they started duking it out. I mean, they were going toe-to-toe, slugging it out, and I thought to myself, this is crazy.
Was it a priest gathering?
No, a bishop's gathering, no. No, it's just two guys going at it to break them up, and I thought to myself,
that's scary.
How sad. But getting back to, Mark's, question in terms of, when it comes to politics, it's almost like, I'm not going to change your mind, you're not going to change my mind.
Right.
So how do you deal with that at a gathering?
Especially when you're talking about Catholic
Catholic
dogma or restrictions or guidance.
Yeah. Well, I think, I think there's basically one strategy, at least one that I think can be helpful, and that is to ask questions and to keep seeking clarification. But you see, one of the issues, and it's fundamental, is that when you do ask questions and when you keep asking people to clarify what they mean, what they hope for, what that signifies underneath is that you believe that there's something you can actually learn, or that there might be some way in which you change. If you don't think you have anything to learn, or that you're completely unwilling to change at all, well, then it's not going to go anywhere. The whole nature of dialogue is based on the assumption that no single person has it all together.
Exactly.
And so, but I do think that asking questions and seeking clarifications, that's important. Now, one other thing I think is to try to go deeper and identify common values. Because if you press people of goodwill, and you keep going deeper and deeper about what they value, you'll understand and realize that they basically value the same thing. Now, implementing that, getting to the realization of those values, that's another question, and that's where people can go off in different directions. But if you can come to terms with the common values that people hold, I think that's just real helpful.
And I think, Lou, that is outstanding. You hit on keywords, learn and change. But I've seen people get into a discussion, turns into a battle. They could care less about learning or changing. And this is a bad example. I'm a diehard Bears fan. You're not going to make me a Packers fan. You could talk till the cows come home. I don't like the Green Bay Packers. I never will.
Yeah.
That grants of football, maybe a poor example, but the same thing here. But now one issue that you hear over and over again as part of an election is the whole issue of abortion.
Yeah.
And I think for Catholics, say something about that where many people will vote because it's one issue. This whole election is one issue. It's abortion. Nothing else matters. Now, I certainly am against abortion, pro-life, 100%. But so when they get on that topic, it's like there's no talking or there's no variance because it's one issue. So say something about that, if you don't mind, Lou.
Yeah, it's really very troubling because it's not just abortion, but it's a kind of a direction that we've taken of abortion without any limitations, and then also the prospect of publicly funded abortions. So it's complicated, and it really is. But sure, of course, I'm pro-life. We've got to be that way. Now let me just speak this. I hope I can make this clear because it's a little bit complicated, but it's very important. And when the bishops put out a new edition of their letter, actually it's the same letter, Faithful Citizenship, but they added a new note at the beginning. And here's what they said. I've got it right here. It says, the threat of abortion remains our preeminent priority because it directly attacks life itself. It's our preeminent priority. Now, I think that, to be honest with you, I think that was an unfortunate choice of word.
The word preeminent. Why? Preeminent,
yeah. Early on, Cardinal Bernardine spoke of a consistent ethic of life in which he linked questions surrounding abortion and euthanasia and capital punishment and care for the poor and so forth. And people criticized him severely, and they said, well, you're just leveling all these life issues. Well, he listened, and he changed. And he said, no, I think what I mean to say is that the question of the right to life and connected with abortion is foundational. It's foundational. If you're not born, there aren't many other things you can do with your life. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's foundational. When, on the other hand, and I think it needs special attention because it is so critical, so basic, so foundational. But when you use the language of preeminence, that this is the preeminent issue, well, then what you have is different life issues in competition with each other, and that's not particularly good. It's not helpful. You have lives in competition with each other, and in a kind of strange way, that's almost like the pro-choice, so-called pro-choice position, life of the woman versus life of the unborn child. So I think we have to watch out for that preeminent issue.
Let me ask you this. When you talk preeminent, does that mean, of course, when we go back to Cardinal Bernardine, the seamless garment, all those issues.
Yep.
So if you say that abortion is the preeminent issue, therefore, does that mean you are downplaying, you're putting on a different level?
Well, yeah,
euthanasia?
I mean, it can be understood that way. And like, for example, Bishop McElroy said abortion is a preeminent issue, but not the only one.
Mm-hmm.
I've got here.
Mm-hmm.
This is in my video too, but it's Pope Francis. Here's what he says: our defense of the innocent unborn needs to be clear, firm, and passionate. For at stake is the dignity of a human life, which is always sacred. Equally sacred, however, are the lives of the poor, those already born, the destitute, the abandoned and underprivileged, the vulnerable, infirm, and elderly exposed to covert euthanasia, the victims of human trafficking, new forms of slavery, and every form of rejection. I think that's really well put.
Mm-hmm.
So he's looking at the foundation, absolutely, innocent unborn life. But then he's also saying there's life already born that deserves and requires our attention, care, and respect.
Now, Lou, we've actually run out of time, believe it or not. I want to say this has been outstanding. I want to thank in a very special way Father Lou Cameli, who has done much writing and many videos, does a great job at the cathedral and the wider community. Lou, thank you very much on this very important topic. And again, as you stressed earlier, folks, please take the time to vote on election day or by mail or early. Please.
And a last word,
yes.
Pray.
And pray.
Exactly.
So thank
Pray
you, Father Lou
vote.
Cameli.
Okay.
Terrific. Thanks for joining us. We'll also thank you in a special
All right.
way. Co-host Mark Teresi. Great being with you, Mark.
Thank you.
Great job of our producer, which is Vince Girasoli, and our two engineers today, Michael May and Javi Garcia. Michael and Javi, great job as usual. To our listeners, may God bless all of you. Be safe. God bless.
Join us every Monday through Friday at this time for Catholic Chicago. You can stream our programs live or listen to past programs by visiting our website, archchicago.org, and clicking on Radio TV. And please connect with Catholic Chicago on social media.